The school board meeting in the small Georgia town of Willow Creek exploded the moment Patricia Reynolds slammed the printed photos onto the table. Isabella Hayes has been living with some mysterious woman named Aubrey for over a year right under our noses, and I demand she be removed from teaching our children immediately. The words hung in the air like smoke while every head turned toward the podium where Isabella sat frozen, her hands clenched so tightly her knuckles turned white. No one expected what happened next. Patricia's own daughter Sophia stood up from the back row, her voice cutting through the murmurs. "You're wrong, Mom, they're not just roommates, they're in love. And it's none of your business." Isabella's world tilted. She had built her entire life around this classroom, the one place where she felt safe after moving from Atlanta to escape the same kind of small-town judgment that now stared back at her. At 32, she was the favorite English teacher, the one who stayed late to help struggling students and organized the annual book fair. But behind the closed door of the modest two-bedroom house on Maple Lane, she shared everything with Aubrey, the woman who had walked into her life at a quiet coffee shop 2 years earlier and never left. They had been careful, no public displays, no matching rings, just quiet dinners, shared laughter, and the kind of love that felt like breathing. Until someone snapped pictures through the window, Aubrey kissing Isabella's cheek on the porch one ordinary Tuesday. The accusations spread like wildfire. By the next morning, the local Facebook group was flooded with calls for investigation. Parents who had once praised Isabella's dedication now whispered about immoral influence. Isabella tried to deny it in the emergency meeting with the principal, claiming Aubrey was simply a roommate helping with rent, but the lie tasted like ash. That night at home, Aubrey paced the kitchen, her blonde hair falling across her face. "I told you this town would destroy us if they found out. Maybe I should move out for a while just until this blows over." Isabella wanted to argue, but fear for her job, the only thing keeping her family afloat after her father's stroke last year, made her nod instead. The betrayal stung. Aubrey's eyes filled with hurt as she packed a single suitcase and left for her sister's apartment across town. Sophia Reynolds, 15, and already carrying secrets of her own, watched her mother's victory with growing nausea. She had known the truth for months, ever since she saw Isabella and Aubrey laughing together at the town fair, their hands brushing in a way that wasn't friendly. Sophia had never told anyone, not even her best friend, that she felt the same pull toward girls, the same quiet terror of disappointing her strict mother, who ran the church youth group, and believed any deviation from tradition was sin. Now standing up in that meeting had cracked open the door to her own storm, and she had no idea how to close it again. The next week dragged in silence. Isabella taught her classes with a plastic smile while colleagues avoided eye contact. Aubrey texted once, "I miss you, but I can't watch you lose everything because of me." The words carved deeper than any accusation. Patricia Reynolds meanwhile circulated a petition demanding a full review of the school's moral standards policy, gathering 200 signatures in 48 hours. Willow Creek had always been this way. Sunday sermons warning against the gay agenda, and family names that carried weight for generations. Isabella's own mother called from Atlanta, her voice trembling, "Honey, just say she's a friend. Your father's health can't take another scandal." The pressure built like a dam ready to break, and Isabella wondered how long she could hold the lie before it drowned her completely. By the end of the second week, the school board scheduled a public hearing, and the auditorium filled to capacity with cameras from the local news station. Isabella sat alone on the stage, her dark hair pulled into a tight bun, trying to look composed while her heart hammered against her ribs. Patricia took the microphone first, waving fresh evidence, a blurry photo of Aubrey's car parked overnight. "This isn't just about one teacher, it's about protecting our children from role models who live against God's plan." The crowd murmured approval until Sophia pushed through the aisle, her school uniform wrinkled from clenching her fists all morning. "Mom, stop. I know Isabella. She's the best teacher I've ever had, and Aubrey isn't some stranger, she's the person who makes Isabella happy. You're destroying lives over pictures." Gasps rippled through the room. Patricia's face drained of color. "Sophia, sit down this instant." But the girl kept talking, her voice cracking only once. "I've seen them together, and it's real love, not whatever you think it is. If you fire her, you're telling every kid in this school that being honest about who you are means losing everything." The words landed like stones. Isabella stared at Sophia in stunned gratitude, realizing the girl had risked her own family standing here. Later in the hallway, Sophia cornered her. "I didn't do it for you exactly. I did it because if they can come for you, they can come for me too." The confession hung between them, Isabella suddenly understanding the weight the teenager carried alone. That night Aubrey returned not to stay but to talk. They sat on the couch, the same one where they had watched movies and planned a future that now felt impossible. I was scared, Isabella. Scared you'd choose your job over us. But seeing Sophia fight for you made me realize I was doing the same thing, running away. Tears slipped down Aubrey's cheeks and Isabella pulled her close, the embrace feeling both fragile and necessary. Yet the next morning the school suspended Isabella pending investigation. And the local paper ran the headline, "Teacher's Secret Romance Rocks Quiet Town." Her sister called furious, "You're dragging our family name through the mud." Dad cried when he saw the article. The betrayal from blood stung worse than any stranger's judgment. Sophia faced her own war at home. Patricia grounded her, no phone, no friends, and endless lectures about sin and shame. "You embarrassed me in front of the entire town. What will people think of our family?" Sophia stared at the ceiling each night, replaying her words in the meeting, wondering if courage always cost this much. She started skipping meals, the anxiety twisting her stomach, until one afternoon, she showed up at Isabella's door unannounced. "I need to talk to someone who gets it." They sat in the kitchen drinking tea, while Sophia finally voiced the truth she had hidden since middle school. Isabella listened without judgment, offering the kind of gentle guidance she wished someone had given her years ago. For the first time Sophia felt seen, and that visibility became both gift and curse. The petition grew to 500 signatures. Parents pulled their children from Isabella's classes. Aubrey's freelance writing gigs dried up because clients recognized her name from the news. The two women tried to rebuild their routine, small moments of normalcy like cooking dinner together, but every car door outside made them flinch. Isabella's mother arrived unannounced from Atlanta, suitcase in hand. "I'm here to help you fix this. Just tell them it was a phase." The pressure mounted from every side, family, career, reputation, all demanding she erase the one part of herself that finally felt true. The third week brought the first real fracture. Aubrey received an anonymous threat in the mail, crude words about fixing people like her. She read it at the kitchen table, hands shaking, and for the first time suggested they move to Atlanta together, leave Willow Creek behind. Isabella hesitated, the image of her father in his hospital bed flashing in her mind. "My family needs me here." The medical bills, Aubrey's expression closed off again, the old fear returning. "So you'll choose them over us?" Again. The argument escalated, voices rising until Aubrey stormed out, slamming the door so hard the frame rattled. Isabella sank to the floor, crying for the first time since the scandal broke, realizing how many times fear had made her push the woman she loved away. At school the hearing continued. Sophia testified again, this time with printed letters from other students who supported Isabella, describing how the teacher had changed their lives. The board members shifted uncomfortably, but Patricia countered with church leaders and community elders, all echoing the same narrative of moral decay. During a recess Sophia found Isabella in the hallway. "I told my mom I'm like you. She slapped me and said I was confused because of you." The bruise on Sophia's cheek told the rest. Isabella felt the weight of unintended consequences crushing her chest. She had never meant to become anyone's catalyst, yet here she was, the spark that set two families on fire. Back home Isabella's mother refused to leave, insisting on daily prayers and conversations about returning to the right path. Every meal became a battlefield, passive comments about grandchildren and stable marriages. Aubrey stayed away for 3 days, answering texts with single words, until Isabella drove to her sister's apartment and begged her to come back. They made love for the first time in weeks, slow and careful, as if the world might shatter if they moved too fast. Afterward, lying in the dark, Aubrey whispered, "I can't keep hiding forever. Either we fight together or we end this." The ultimatum lingered like smoke. Sophia's mother filed a formal complaint with Child Protective Services, claiming Isabella had influenced her daughter. The accusation was baseless, but the investigation began, paperwork and interviews that dragged Isabella's name through more mud. Reporters camped outside her house. Students who once waved in the hallways now looked away. The isolation pressed in until one evening Isabella stood on the porch staring at the empty street and whispered to the night, "How much more am I supposed to lose before it's enough?" Month 2 arrived with the school board's preliminary decision. Isabella would be placed on unpaid leave for the remainder of the semester while they reviewed her contract. The letter arrived certified mail, cold and formal. She read it at the kitchen table, Aubrey beside her, hand resting on her shoulder. "We can fight this," Aubrey said, but the doubt in her voice betrayed her. That same afternoon, Patricia Reynolds appeared at the front door uninvited, her face tight with righteous anger. "This is your fault. My daughter won't speak to me because of you." Sophia had run away to a friend's house after another fight, refusing to come home until her mother dropped the complaint. Isabella invited Patricia inside, not out of kindness but exhaustion. They sat across from each other, the living room suddenly too small. Patricia listed every sin, every Bible verse, every fear for her daughter's soul. Isabella listened until the words ran out, then spoke quietly. "I never recruited Sophia. I never even knew until she stood up for me. But love isn't a choice, it's who we are. You're losing her the same way my family is losing me over fear." Patricia left without answering, but the door closed softer than expected. Aubrey's family called next, her conservative parents in Florida demanding she come home and get right with God. Aubrey played the message on speaker, her hands trembling. "I can't lose both of you," she told Isabella that night. The pressure cracked something inside her. The next morning she packed again, this time for real, saying, "I need space to think. Call me when you decide what you really want." The house felt hollow without her. Isabella wandered the empty rooms, touching objects that held memories, a coffee mug. Aubrey favored the blanket they shared during storms. The betrayal this time was mutual, both women choosing self-preservation over each other out of terror. Sophia returned to school bruised but defiant. She sat in Isabella's empty classroom during lunch, writing letters to the board. "I'm not confused. I'm not sick. I'm just like my teacher, and if you punish her, you punish me too." Word spread. A small group of students started a quiet support campaign, wearing rainbow pins despite threats of suspension. The town divided, some calling it courage, others labeling it rebellion. Isabella watched from her living room window, the world moving forward, while she stood still, suspended between who she had been and who she might become. Her sister visited again, this time with their mother. The conversation turned ugly, accusations of selfishness, tears, and slammed doors. "You're killing Dad slowly with this shame," her sister shouted. Isabella stood her ground for the first time. "I'm not killing anyone. I'm finally living." The words felt powerful, yet the silence that followed carved deeper wounds than any shout. The turning point came in week 9. The full school board hearing was televised locally, and Sophia walked in with a folder of statements from 20 students plus a letter from a child psychologist confirming no inappropriate influence had occurred. She read the letter aloud, voice steady despite her mother's glare from the front row. "Isabella Hayes taught me that honesty matters more than approval. If we fire her for loving someone, we teach every queer kid in this town that they have to disappear." The room fell silent. Even Patricia looked shaken for the first time. Isabella took the stand next. She had rehearsed a careful defense, but standing there with cameras rolling, and Aubrey absent, the truth poured out raw and unfiltered. "I am in love with Aubrey. She is not a roommate or a phase. She is my partner, and hiding her nearly destroyed us both. I wanted to protect my job, my family, my students, but I realize now that silence was the real betrayal." The confession landed like a grenade. Gasps echoed. Her mother covered her face in the audience. Sophia smiled through tears. That night Aubrey showed up on the doorstep, suitcase in hand, eyes red. "I saw the hearing. I heard you say my name on television. I was wrong to leave." They held each other in the doorway, the kiss desperate and healing all at once. But victory tasted bittersweet. The board voted to terminate Isabella's contract effective immediately. The local paper printed the full story with her photo. Her father's health declined further after seeing the news. Patricia Reynolds filed an appeal, but the damage to her own relationship with Sophia was already done, the girl refusing to return home until her mother apologized. Isabella packed boxes, slowly preparing for the move Aubrey had suggested months earlier. Each item held memories: the coffee table where they first said, "I love you," the bedroom where they planned a future now uncertain. Sophia visited one last time before the move. "I came out to the whole school today. They can't fire me for that." The pride in her voice mixed with fear reminded Isabella why she had spoken. The teenager had become the catalyst, the unexpected defender, who forced everyone, including herself, to choose. The moving truck idled outside on a rainy Thursday morning. Isabella and Aubrey loaded the last boxes together, their hands brushing with the easy familiarity that had survived every storm. Sophia stood on the sidewalk hugging Isabella tightly. "Thank you for showing me it's okay to be honest even when it costs everything." Patricia watched from her car across the street, not approaching, but not driving away either. The small gesture felt like the first crack in a wall that had seemed unbreakable. They drove out of Willow Creek, the town shrinking in the rearview mirror. Isabella's phone buzzed with a text from her sister. "Dad asked about you today. Maybe time will help." No promises, but no final rejection. Aubrey squeezed her hand. "We lost a lot, but we kept each other." The words settled warm and true. In Atlanta they found a new apartment, a new rhythm, and slowly a new peace. Isabella started tutoring online. Sophia kept in touch with updates about the support group she founded at school. Life moved forward, carrying scars but also strength. Months later a letter arrived from Patricia. It was short, 2 paragraphs apologizing for the pain caused, and admitting she had been wrong about many things. Sophia had moved back home, the relationship mending one careful conversation at a time. Isabella read the letter aloud to Aubrey, their heads close on the couch. The circle had closed in ways none of them expected. Looking back at the empty Georgia highway in her mind, Isabella wondered about the price of truth. She had lost her classroom, her family's full approval, and the quiet anonymity she once cherished. Yet she had gained a voice, a partner who stayed, and the knowledge that one teenager's courage had changed everything. The road ahead stretched open, uncertain, but finally honest. Was Isabella right to finally choose truth over silence, even when it shattered her career and family ties? Or should she have protected those closest to her by staying hidden forever?